Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Juxtaposition Show. This is our Zoom Star Chamber Investigations Saturday Night Live. Uh, the date is January 24th, 2026. And everybody's got a little extra time in their hand because the Davos World Economic Forum conference has concluded. And we haven't yet invaded Greenland or Venezuela, but stay tuned. Be a story for later in the week. But tonight we're going to look at the brilliance of one of our fellow sleuthers. Here in the Star Chamber, we have our two big stars is Jennifer Small in the upper right-hand corner. Hello, Jennifer. And we have Rose from Canada, and she's in the bottom corner. And we are going to kick the tires on the Inspector Clouseau. His name was Jacques Clouseau, played by Peter Sellers, an English actor. It is a whodunit murder mystery comedy film that was produced, directed, and adapted by Blake Edwards with a cohort, and his cohort's name was William Peter Blatty, Blatty, who appears to be a member of the intelligence community, directly, overtly in the intelligence community for the United States Air Force. William Peter Blatty was a co-screenwriter to Blake Edwards, who was well versed in creating successful films. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Days of Wine and Roses, A Shot in the Dark, which we're going to examine tonight, A Great Race, Victor, Victoria, Blind Date, and highly successful with the Pink Panther series of films, which featured Peter Sellers as the star. And I'll provide a link to Blake Edwards' background. You know, he married Julie Andrews of the Sound of Music fame. That was his second wife. And they were married in 1969. And Blake Edwards passed away December 15, 2010 in Santa Monica at age 88. And his cohort on this particular film, A Shot in the Dark, he was born in New York City on January 7th, 1928. He died at age 89 in Bethesda, Maryland in January 2017, January 12th, 2017. William Peter Blatty died, age 89. All right, so I wanted to tell you that one of the attractions for me in murder mysteries was my reading the Hardy Boys, and my mom was an avid reader of Nancy Drew. So I became somewhat familiar with the amateur detective sleuth concept as a child. And then later I became infatuated with the Columbo series, and later Barnaby Jones, as one was a Los Angeles police robbery homicide detective, Lieutenant Columbo. The other was a former LA policeman turned into a private detective, Barnaby Jones. And later we had Cannon, we had Mannix, and we had all manner of different policemen. In the case of Blake Edwards, his first introduction to the sleuth detective was the Peter Gunn series for television, adapted to television, which starred Carol Wayne. She was in that with Blake Edwards directing and producing the television show 1962, 1961, 62, Peter Gunn, which was in Los Angeles, California. And that's where the Peter Gunn character worked. All right, so getting back to the gentleman behind my head here, Peter Sellers, is that in this film, A Shot in the Dark, which I'll run through the overview of it in a second, and then we'll go around the room, is that some of the techniques that he used were quite creative and innovative. And it was created in the 1964 year after Jack Kennedy had been killed. We had the Shot in the Dark. starring Elkie Summers and Peter Sellers and a whole cast of tremendous actors. Um, in this detective assignment that he was given, there was a murder outside of Paris at a chateau, in a country chateau home, quite magnificent, with Monsieur Ballon as the man of the manor, and his much younger wife, Dominique Ballon. And so those were the two owners of the chateau. They had 8 servants, which seems like an interesting ratio, that you've got a 2-to-1 ratio of help. So there's 2 of them, but they have 8 helpers. There's a 4-to-1 ratio. Pardon me. They have four helpers per person. So before I get into that, I was going to say that Clouseau used disguises to solve this case. He calls it solved. I solved the case. He dressed up as a balloon salesman in the park. He dressed as a salesman of art paintings. He was an art dealer. He dressed up as a hunter who was shooting crows on the perimeter of the Ballon estate. He was shooting crows in and around where the Ballons live. He also went on a date with Maria Gambrelli, played by Elkie Summers. They went to a nudist colony. So his disguise was no disguise at all. So unlike Lieutenant Columbo, who I think there's only one episode that he actually pretended to be someone that he wasn't, it turns out that Clouseau, he played 4 different characters in addition to his inspector detective. So that's 5 different personas for Jacques Clouseau here. 5. That takes some daring, acting skills to do that. Also, there's a snippet that I sent out earlier to you about some of the pertinent, salient points made. And Inspector Clouseau, very important, who, what, where, when. He's very oriented toward facts. It's the facts, and the facts matter, because if you don't have all your facts, you're just guessing. You're just guessing who did it. And he was very much indoctrinated into the belief of facts. And so he likes to go through all the facts of the case. But then when his assistant said, he goes, "What? And what do these facts tell us? That Maria Gambrelli she killed the chauffeur Miguel in her bedroom." "No, you idiot! She couldn't have possibly done it." That's what the facts say. On what basis is your conclusion, Inspector Clouseau? "Instinct." So is a juxtaposition, because Inspector Clouseau believes in collecting the facts: who, what, when, where, who, what, when, where. But then he's willing to use his intuition, deductive reasoning, tenets of thinking, or more importantly, he developed an infatuation with the scapegoat suspect, Maria Gambrelli. And he sort of started finding himself falling in love with the suspect. So every time she was arrested, he would immediately release her. And he would take her on a date, where invariably someone would be killed on the date. And then when his boss called him in the office and he said, 8 dead now, he goes, "Could it be worse?" And he goes, "Well, it just proves my point, Commissioner. There is no way she could have done it." "Based on what?" "Well, the last 4, I was with her, and her alibi is me." And he goes, "Well, then who are they trying to kill?" He goes, "Obviously, someone was trying to kill me. And fortunately, they failed." And the commissioner said, "Fortunate is not the word I would use." Okay, so we have a situation here where we have a detective who is operating outside of the normal framework for police. He disguised himself as a balloon salesman, and of course he runs into a problem because he doesn't have a license. Do you have a license for selling the balloons? No. So he's hauled away in a paddy wagon. Do you have a license for selling the paintings in public? No, I do not. So he's hauled away by a paddy wagon. Then later, he is he gets annoyed with the birds out on the Belong property, so he shoots a crow, and then the game warden shows up immediately and says, "Do you have a license to hunt?" No, he does. So he gets hauled away by the paddy wagon, and then later he's naked with Maria Gambrelli in the car, and they have to fled. They flee the nudist colony and end up in downtown London, whereupon they're arrested for indecent exposure. It's not a matter of having a license, but they're hauled away in the paddy wagon because of their nakedness. So every single time Clouseau uses a disguise, he is arrested by the police because he is not in non-compliance with public policy. So he also develops a disdain for Maurice, who is the second butler, and so that's kind of unprofessional to decide that you don't like somebody who's one of the group of people who lives at the Boulogne Chateau. There are 10 people who live at the chateau. All of them are suspects. Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
I just minor correction. I think it all takes place in Paris, doesn't it? Not London.
Oh,
So,
yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're
so
right. It's all
thought,
in Paris.
I don't want to be one of these nitpicker
Oh,
persons,
you're
but
right. The whole film and story is about the suburb, the countryside of Paris, or the city of Paris.
Mm.
It's the city of lights. And so before we get into it, this crimes wave, this turns into a crime wave of murders. Starts out with one, but there's a murder called in to the police. They didn't recognize the Boulogne name, who is an important wealthy person. Benjamin Boulogne, considered a plutocrat. So the dispatchers just grabbed the first police investigator, which was Clouseau, and he's dispatched. Then when the supervisor realized, oh my God, we've just sent Jacques Cousteau, Jacques Clouseau, we have sent him to the Boulogne estate. We have Commissioner Dreyfus, who's planning a romantic weekend with his lover, and he is on the telephone, and he says, "Oh, I'll see you in 20 minutes, darling. Kiss the children." And then there's a buzz, and your wife's on the line. "Oh, just a second, honey. I'll get back to you later. I'll see you in 20." Hangs up the phone. "Tell her I'm out of town." Tell my wife I'm out of town. So he's got his wine and his little basket of cheeses. I have the wine and cheese, and he's ready for his romantic weekend. And he walks out of his office having his secretary tell his wife he's gone, he's out of town. He's heading off to see his mistress when his assistant says, "I have some troubling news." "Well, what's that?" "I'm on my way, to start my weekend." "Well, it's about there's been a murder at the Boulogne Chateau." "Who was assigned the case?" "Clouseau." "Yes, this is bad news." So he has to cancel his romantic weekend, and then he drives to the estate where he takes personal charge of the investigation. Commissioner Dreyfus dismisses Clouseau when he's just beginning his investigation out at the murder scene. And he's consoling the scapegoat, Maria Gambrelli, in her bedroom on her bed. But he is dismissed after falling off her balcony and face planting onto the driveway after Commissioner Dreyfus opens the door suddenly, surprising the intrepid, clueless Clouseau, who falls but doesn't die. All right, so what I want to tell you is there are 10 people out at the chateau. Two of them are the owners of the chateau, Dominique, who is actually only 22 years old. At the time of the filming, she is 22. And Benjamin Boulogne, who is looks like he's about 60-ish. And we have this death of their chauffeur. Okay, now just to break it down for you, there are 10 people who live on the property. Okay, and they all have different responsibilities. You have Benjamin Boulogne. He is the retired plutocrat. You have his very much younger wife, Dominique, and she appears to be bored out of her mind. And they live pretty far away from downtown Paris, so she's pretty bored. They have two butlers. They have the head butler, and his name is Henry, and they have the second butler, who is Maurice, and then they have three maids. They have Dudu, Simone, and the third maid is Maria Gambrelli, played by Alki Summers. They have three maids for two people. They have one cook. And the cook's name. Oh boy, it's hard to keep track of all the names here. But the cook has a name, and I have it here. Uh, she goes by Madame Laforget. Madame Laforget is the cook. Her husband is Henry Forget. He's the head butler. So the head butler is married to the cook. Okay, that's important. It's very hard to keep track of the sexual relationships going on here. I'm just running through the characters. So we have two butlers, Henry Laforget, he's the head butler, and Maurice, who is the second butler. Three maids, Dudu, Simone, and Maria Gambrelli, who becomes the scapegoat of this murder. The murder is of one of the chauffeurs. The head chauffeur. They have two chauffeurs, one for Benjamin and one for Dominique. I guess they each have their own cars and they each have their own chauffeurs. That makes sense. So they each have a chauffeur. There's two chauffeurs, but the head chauffeur is Miguel Ostis, and the other chauffeur is Pierre. Those are the two chauffeurs, Miguel and Pierre. All right. So you with me? That adds up to 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick. So we have Monsieur Ballon, Benjamin Ballon, Lady Dominique, Henry Laforget, Maurice, his backup butler, three maids, Dudu, Simone, Maria Gambrelli, one cook, Madame Laforget, and the two chauffeurs, Miguel Ostis and Pierre. That's 10. All right. One of them is now dead in Maria Gambrelli's room on the second floor of the chateau. He was killed. And Maria Gambrelli had her dress pulled off with all the buttons torn off. And so this looks like Miguel has attacked Maria Gambrelli and she shot them. And when the second butler, Maurice, entered Maria's room, he sees Maria Gambrelli holding the gun that was used to kill the chauffeur, Miguel, still smoking. He sees her with the smoking gun. There she is, Maria Gambrelli, the third maid. She's there, and she has the smoking gun in her hand. So, based on the testimony, the story of Maurice, the butler, it appears that Maria Gambrelli killed the chauffeur because he tore her dress off. Anyway, that's how the movie begins. They spend 10 minutes setting up what I just told you before Inspector Clouseau arrives. And he arrives in a little Fiat car, and his idiot driver, quote unquote, his idiot driver parked too close to the fountain, so that when Inspector Clouseau stepped out of the car, he lost his balance and fell into the water pond of the fountain and submerged himself, so that now he is completely wet. He's all wet when he enters the chateau, and is greeted by the head butler, Henry Laforget, and then shakes the hand of the man of the manor, Benjamin Ballon. He has a mitten that's full of water, like a wet towel. And they ask, "Can we get you a bathrobe or a towel or a change of clothes?" "Oh, no, it's just a little dampness. It'll pass soon." "No, you just got thrown overboard." Okay. All right. Any comments so far? Jennifer did watch the entire film today. How we doing so far, Jennifer?
Well, great. And I just want to say, we've got somebody wanting to come in. Alexander,
Yeah.
know this name? I
Let's
don't.
see. Maybe I should hit the pause button. Let me hit the pause button. That might be the right way to proceed.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
Okay. Well, many years ago, I took fiction writing classes. And one of the things we learned was a great way to start a novel or a short story is with a dead body. Like just opening scene, somebody's dead. There's a dead body, someone has died, whatever. Um, and that you could see that in the movies too. And this movie has a great opening scene with the all the you see the chateau, and then you see all the little characters there, like almost like little stick figures, like little candles, going from room to room with all, and like closing the door, hiding, going across the hallway, and so forth. And then you do see the shots of the dark. So I just wanted to note that stylistically that they said they get you intrigued right away. They let you know this is about a murder, and it's visually confusing at the beginning, which I think is going to set you up for knowing that the plot is going to be confusing as well in terms of all the characters. But you're doing a good job at helping to straighten it out. Now, was the chauffeur that was killed? Was he the chauffeur to the man or the woman of the house?
It's not really stated,
Oh, okay.
but
They do refer to
he's the number one chauffeur. So I don't
so
know what that means. He could be
they
Dominique,
refer they refer to him as a Spaniard.
right?
So for whatever
And
that's.
I think he was okay, based on some information I'm going to tell you later in the video. I'm going to say that Miguel Hostis was Benjamin Ballon's chauffeur, that the man of the house, that he was for him. And there's
Yes.
a reason why Pierre would have been the chauffeur for Dominique. It is
Okay.
not made rich crystal clear in the film, perhaps because
Mhm.
it was edited out and maybe they had to edit. The film is 100 minutes long. The film is 100 minutes long. And your point about a dramatic beginning
Mhm.
to intrigue the audience is 100% accurate, because it's also somewhat unique in Hollywood filmmaking, because what we described, how the murder happened in Maria Gambrelli's bedroom by the Spaniard number one chauffeur, Miguel Ostos, spelled Ostos, took 10 minutes. The Blake Edwards spent 10 minutes to set that up
Mhm.
before Inspector Clouseau is summoned to the
Mhm.
murder scene.
Mhm.
That's 10 minutes of 100 minutes. That's 10%
Mhm.
of the entire film
Yeah.
is invested in the opening to
Mm.
intrigue the audience. And typically, they don't even spend that much time in Columbos, 10 whole minutes. Sometimes they do. I mean, some of the Columbos, it sort of meanders along for 15 to 20 minutes before you'll see the introduction of Columbo, because they're kind of showing you the lifestyle of the victim or the murderer in advance. Now, they don't do a profile here because the Blake Edwards doesn't want us to know who the murderer was. He doesn't want us to know that. He only wants us to know about the chateau outside of Paris, and that it's
Mhm.
large, and that there are a number of people who live in the chateau, and they at this particular time of evening are moving around. They're kind of sneaking around the house with wine and or their bathrobes, and they're looking around corners to make sure that they're not seen. So it looks like people are sneaking around the chateau, and then all of a sudden there's bang, 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 three or four shots in the
Mhm.
dark,
Mhm.
and the police are called, and enter the quite all wet Inspector Clouseau with with Hercule, his trusted assistant, who he
Mhm.
doesn't particularly respect. He thinks he's too new. He's in training. All right, so what I should say next is that this is not just an ordinary murder, because it's actually part of a web. You know, oh, what a web we weave when we practice to deceive. Because it
Mhm.
turns out, because we have two uh, of the people who are the nobility status of the household, and eight helpers. So they each have four helpers apiece, and they each have their own personal chauffeur each, that the help, eight people, are having sexual relationships with each other, and they're almost all married too. So they're adulterous. And
Mhm.
it turns out, I'll just fast track it here, 9 of the 10 people at the chateau are having adulterous affairs. 90% of the people. Okay,
Mm.
now the police don't know this. They are responding to a call of a shooting in Maria Gambrelli's bedroom, and she is seen holding a smoking gun by Maurice, the second butler. He says to the police that this is what he found. And then this is why we have to really respect the police work of Inspector Clouseau, which, let's be honest, he appears to be a buffoon. This is kind of some of the the stagecraft used by Columbo and Peter Falk was that he's wearing a raincoat in Los Angeles where typically it never rains. He looks like an unmade bed in the words of Suzanne Plachette, who was one of the witnesses in a case. She said not everyone wants to look like an unmade bed, implying that Columbo really doesn't care about his appearance, which he does not. I mean, the unlit cigar is also another untidy example of Columbo. We have some of that going on with Inspector Clouseau because even though he falls into the fountain, instead of being concerned about changing his clothes, he wants to immediately begin interrogating the witnesses in and around the chateau, in and around the murder of the butler, Miguel Ostis. He's 100% focused on his work, but he is a ragamuffin who's dripping water all over the chateau and the marble floors. All right, so you got that. Then over the next few weeks of the investigation, we have more murders happen. More murders happen, and the commissioner, the boss, the head policeman, the chief of police in Paris, is very concerned about Inspector Clouseau being on the case. So he dismisses him from the case, takes personal involvement in the case, but then Clouseau overrides him, releases Maria Gambrelli from the jail, and begins to date the primary suspect of the murder, the woman with the smoking gun. Clouseau is infatuated with Maria Gambrelli. He does not believe that she killed the butler. He does learn through talking with her that that the butler did not attack her. She said, "No, no, he's just passionate." And he says, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "No, I would have helped him undo the buttons, but he was in a hurry, so he tore my dress off." And he says, "But he attacked you." He said, "No, I was taking my dress off already." Oh, okay. So he realizes that this is a regular love affair between the chauffeur, Miguel, and Maria Gambrelli, that they're regular lovers. That's all he knows. And she doesn't know what happened. She doesn't know how she got the gun in her hand. She doesn't know who killed her lover. And she's in a state of shock. That's what we're working with here. So most people aren't going to believe Maria Gambrelli doesn't know how she got the gun in her hand, but she does. Then we find out through more police work where Inspector Clouseau uses disguises the balloon salesman, the painter, hunter of crow, and a nudist. He takes Maria Gambrelli to a nudist colony. And through these shared experiences, they get closer and closer together. And
Mhm.
he becomes very infatuated, kind of little romantic feelings for her. Everybody else wants her, charged with murder. Meanwhile, bodies are dropping like flies. So whilst Inspector Clouseau is out on his dates with Maria Umbrelli, other people are being killed. 4 people at a dance studio, a Cossack, a doorman, 2 patrons are killed. It's sort of a mystery who did it, some kind of an assassin. And chief and the commissioner doesn't seem to know, and Inspector Clouseau doesn't know. But now Inspector Clouseau is emboldened with his theory of the crime that Maria Gambrelli could not have done the murder, could not have committed the murder, because he was with her during the last four murders where he was a witness for that she was not involved, and he's her alibi. So she couldn't have done the murder of Miguel, the chauffeur. So we have other people getting killed at the chateau whilst other people are being killed, and Clouseau is being called back to the chateau to investigate why Georger the gardener was killed. And Dudu, the head maid, the number one maid, Dudu is killed. And Henry Laforget, the head butler, he is killed. That's three more murders on top of Miguel, the chauffeur. That's four murders at the chateau. Meanwhile, there's four murders at the dance club where we know Maria Gambrelli did not do those. And Maria Gambrelli didn't do Dudu or Henry Lafarge or George the gardener, Georger the gardener. He didn't do those. She didn't do those because she was with Inspector Clouseau or she was in the jail. So she has alibis for seven of the eight people. And this emboldens Inspector Clouseau to be convinced she didn't do the chauffeur murder because, look, there were seven that she definitely didn't do. So there's some other people out there committing murders, persons or person. And Clouseau said, look, I suspect everyone, and I suspect no one. I believe everything, and I believe nothing. These are the principles of Inspector Clouseau. You know, is this something that you would hear Nancy Drew say? Is this something that Columbo would preach? Is this something that the Hardy Boys would say? You know, perhaps not. Perhaps not. But in this case, everybody's pointing their finger at Maria Gambrelli, who does seem to have a high sex drive. But if you go around Chateau, you'll find that they all do. Okay? I mean, they're all bored, and I guess they get their work done in a few hours, and then they have the rest of the day. And this includes Benjamin Ballon, who also is bored out of his mind.
Right.
And he is pining away for just 1 hour, one single hour with Maria Gambrelli. So he hides in her closet in the bedroom. And it is through this we deduce that the reason that Maria Gambrelli cannot remember how she got the gun in her hand is because she was turned her back to her closet door, which suddenly opened and conked her on the head, where she got a bump on her head from the door of her closet, where the man of the manor, Benjamin Ballon, had suddenly opened the closet door, bumping Maria on the head, knocking her unconscious. And then someone, don't know who, put the gun in her hand and left the room. Perhaps the man of the manor, Benjamin Ballon. Okay? Then we have the second butler, Maurice. He is not an adulterer. He is not having an affair with any of the staff, but he is engaged in blackmailing the man of the manor, Benjamin Ballon. He is saying, if you don't pay me extra money as a butler, I'm going to tell your wife, Monique, that you're having an affair with Maria Gambrelli, who we already know Miguel, the chauffeur, is having an affair with her. So she's having an affair with the man of the manor and his chauffeur. Miguel is his chauffeur. So those are two men who are together whenever they travel, and she is having an affair with both of them as the third maid. Not to be outdone is the 22-year-old lady of the manor, Dominique, because she's having an affair too with two men, not one, two. Her husband is only having an affair with one woman, Maria Gambrelli, on a part-time basis because she's busy with the chauffeur. So they have to coordinate their time. Meanwhile, Dominique, who has a high sex drive, she's having an affair with the following people. I just have to check my notes here for a moment.
Wow.
Very difficult to keep track. All right, so Dominique, she's having an affair with the head butler, Henry. Is that his name? The head butler
Who's
is Henry
Maurice?
Yes,
Lafarge.
Henri Lafarge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Henri Lafarge. He's
Lafarge.
the head butler. He's married. Remember, he's married to Dudu. He's married to Dudu. He's married to the no. He's married to the cook, who is
Right,
Madame Lafarge.
right.
The cook is married to the head butler. The head butler's having an affair with Dominique, but he's not always available. So then she's having an affair with the gardener. George is the gardener. She's also having an affair with him too. The gardener.
Wait, who's having the affair with the gardener? Is it
Dominique,
Dominique?
the lady of the
Okay.
mansion,
Not,
Lady
but
Dominique.
not the cook. Not the cook. She's the
No, the
cook's.
cook is married to the head butler.
Right.
No, well, no,
Wow.
I'm
That's the
talking about the
wife.
garden. Right, but I'm. I wanted to know. I wanted to know who was having the affair with the gardener because you see his dead feet in the garden, and
Yes.
Maria
Well,
has the shears with the blood on it. So
the gardener
I got
is having
concerned
an
about it.
affair with the lady of the house, Lady Dominique.
Okay, well, and the gardener was very smart because he was going to blackmail the head of the house because he saw the head of the house leaving. So I got intrigued by that character, and then they took him out.
Um, that's I think that's right. Let me see here. No, that's not right. That's not right.
It wasn't the
No,
gardener.
no. The gardener wasn't involved in blackmail. He's just playing hijinks with the lady of the house.
Well,
The blackmail. There are two blackmailers.
okay.
Okay, the blackmailers are Maurice, the second butler,
Okay.
and Pierre, who is the second chauffeur. So that were the blackmailers was if I have this right for the blackmail, we have the blackmailers Maurice and
All right.
uh I might be I probably have to double check that. I think it's
Do you remember the scene in which the guy says to the head of the house, "I saw you leaving, and now I'm hungry. I need money. I want 100,000 francs for
right,
groceries to help my stomach." And the guy,
right.
I thought that was the gardener who was threatening him.
It
And the
it could it
and the
could
head of
be
the house said, Monsieur, whatever his name is, said, "We'll have to do something about your stomach." And
well that
then,
would be Monsieur Blanc.
right, he says, "Okay, we're going to have to do something about
Yeah,
your
okay,
stomach."
well you might be right, but it turns out that the Monsieur Blanc did not murder the gardener. Gardner was murdered by his own wife because she found out that her husband was having an affair with Dominique. So she killed her husband in a fit of jealous rage, a fit of a
Rel-
writ of Fellis Jade,
yeah.
a writ of Fellis Jade. So the wife killed the husband who is having the gardener is having an affair with Lady Dominique,
All
who
right.
is simultaneously having an affair with the head butler, Henri Laforge. See how complicated this is? So do you think that your average policeman could possibly solve these homicides? Do you think your average cop would have the time to do a flow chart of the 10 people at the chateau and understand who's sleeping with whom? What is the motive here? What are the motives, plural? And
Mhm.
getting the right person arrested. Do you think that the average policeman could solve a crime of this magnitude where we
No.
have we have 8 people dead of 10? There's only 2 people left alive. Maurice and Pierre, I think, are left alive. Maurice and Pierre are left alive. So, in other words, the second butler and the second chauffeur are not dead when 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 Inspector Clouseau, solves the crime. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit because some more people get killed because they flee the interview with police, where the hapless Clouseau is set a trap, but he's not really sure who's going to end up in the trap. And it turns out he's looking for one murderer, but he actually finds four murderers, none of whom are Maria Gambrelli.
Mm-hmm.
And then Commissioner Dreyfus ends up planting a bomb in a car and killing six people, two of whom are not murderers. Pierre and Maurice are not murderers. Pierre is an adulterer, and Maurice is a blackmailer. Pierre is not a blackmailer. Pierre is the second chauffeur. He's not a blackmailer. He's just an adulterer having an affair with the lady of the house. He's her chauffeur. She's having an affair with her chauffeur, and the gardener also. And the gardener also. But he's not a blackmailer. So the other blackmailer, there is a second blackmailer, but it couldn't be. And that blackmailer was, I think, Henri Labarge. I think he was the blackmailer, which is why Monsieur Ballon murdered him. Mm-hmm. He killed his head butler, who was attempting to blackmail him.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense, and that's the only. See, Monsieur Ballon, Benjamin, he was only having one affair with Maria Gambrelli, and he only committed one murder of the head butler. So he killed one person, and he was having an illicit affair with his maid, Maria Gambrelli. Whereas his wife was having an affair with two men, the gardener and her chauffeur, okay? And she was the one who murdered the Spaniard, Miguel Ostis. It was Dominique who killed her in Maria Gambrelli's bedroom. But she was planning to kill her husband, and she mistakenly killed the chauffeur, Miguel, who was her husband's butler. But she was going in that room because she suspected that her husband was having an affair with Maria Gambrelli. That is why his wife entered Maria's room and shot the man who tore her dress off, thinking that that was her husband. But she didn't know that her husband's butler was also having an affair with Maria Gambrelli. This is why it's complicated. I mean, what do you think the chances are that your husband and your husband's butler are both having an affair, and you barge in there to kill one, but you inadvertently kill the other? So if she had lived and not died in the car bombing attack, she'd probably be charged with manslaughter because she had no intention of killing Miguel. Or as Inspector Clouseau says, Miguel.
Yeah.
And that Maria received a bump upon the head. What is that you say? A bump. You know, like you have at a room in the hotel. Does your dog bark? Does your dog bite? No, my dog does not bite. I thought you told me your dog doesn't bite. That is not my dog. That is another dog. It's not mine. So you have this play on words going on. We have the convoluted sex lives of the 10 people that are living in the chateau, only one of which is not committing adultery. 9 out of 10 people at the chateau are cheating on their spouse. Oh. And so now we inject any policeman. It could be Colombo, it could be Nancy Drew, it could be your local county sheriff, right? Do you think anyone other than Peter Sellers could solve this crime? I mean, clearly you have to use some, innovative detective techniques to get the right people charged. Now, paradoxically, all the people get killed, so nobody gets charged anyway because they're all dead. But does everybody following me that we have Henri Labarge, we have Maurice, we have Dudu, Simone, Maria Gambrelli, Madame Lafarge, we have Miguel Ostis and Pierre, and we have Monsieur Ballon and Lady Dominique. And in the end, everybody but Maria Gambrelli gets killed. 9 out of 10 get killed.
Well, Dudu, how do you say it? Dudu, the other maid?
Dudu. She's the number one maid.
Okay. Well, she dies at the nudist colony. I mean, she's sitting like by a fountain or something. Her head is
Right.
knocked over. And
She's
I really
married to
wasn't,
Pierre. She's married to Pierre.
well, it wasn't clear to me how she died.
Yeah, me too.
She was strangled.
She was strangled?
Oh, oh.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
who is she having an affair with?
No, her husband's having an affair. Her husband's having an affair with Lady Dominique.
Pierre is her husband. Okay.
Pierre is her husband. And then she, I guess, it confronted her husband. And so her husband strangled her.
Oh,
But he got blown up in the car later. So,
okay, okay. Wow.
if I tried to explain this to the public, nobody would get it. Right. It's like, if you can't, this is more complicated than COVID. This is more complicated than dumping aluminum chalk on us. I mean, that's pretty outrageous. Gene editing, DNA, terraswarm, MIMS and MIMOs, electric molecular engineering. 99% of the population doesn't understand any of that, right? But you know what? Even fewer would understand the murders going on at the Boulogne Chateau. This is right up there. This is more complicated than any of the Colombo plot murders. Who done it? Who done it? A better question would be, in this particular film, who didn't do it? There are very few people who are not implicated in some kind of a crime at this plutocrat chateau outside of Paris. My goodness me. Is there a message here? Is there a message that the really wealthy people in Paris who live in the country engaged in felony murders all over the place and adulterous affairs? Is there a message here? I would say there is. There definitely is a message here, but not just one. I mean, only the man of the manor, he only had one affair and he only murdered his blackmailer, the head butler. So actually, he's the least guilty of all of them, besides Maurice, who was a blackmailer.
Well,
all right. So go ahead, Jennifer.
Well, but at the end, Peter Sellers and Maria, the maid, they're the two truly honest people. I mean,
Yes.
They haven't killed anybody or anything like that.
And he declares her innocent.
Yes.
And they aren't in bed. And then his manservant, Cato, attacks them because of this training to try to be ready for anything.
So we can't get a break.
Yeah. So when he finally vindicates Maria Gambrelli, they can't really celebrate the moment because he has to deal with this martial artist, karate, yes. Cato. And of course, the guy's name has to be Cato.
Well, and also the police chief who hates.
I forgot about him. He's having a mental breakdown.
He ends up being a murderer too because he's trying to kill Peter Sellers.
He killed 4 people at the dance club.
Those dance scenes are hilarious.
Then killed 4 people there, and then he blew up the car by planting a car bomb. So that's 6 people died, plus the 4 at the studio. So the police chief, the Commissioner Dreyfus, he personally killed 10 people. The chief of police, he killed 10.
Well, he's a serial killer.
Well, he did it at the nightclub, and then he did it. He did it with the car bomb. He only did 2 that killed people, but he's like a mass murderer. He killed 4 and 6 in two attacks. I don't know if that makes you a serial. He only did 2, but he took out 10 in 2 attempts. The others were individual murders by different murderers. And it's 4. So you end up with the death count is 4. And Officer Commissioner Dreyfus is put into a mental institution for the criminally insane because he's the chief of police, but he's implicated in the murder of 10 people. And he hates Clouseau and he's swearing to get his revenge, but he's taken away to a mental hospital, leaving the only 2 people who survived this are Inspector Clouseau and Maria Gambrelli, who then are going to fall in love, but are attacked by a karate manservant by the name of Cato. So that's it. Rose, that pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, that's an amazing story, actually. I mean, the character development, and you said it's 100 minutes. I saw
Yes.
the 6 clips that you sent, and then I watched some others because I did what I could watch before the show, but the pro like tonight, and I think the character development is incredible. The storyline is incredible, and also Dreyfus, his persona, it was
Oh,
really, I mean, he was a really good
he's so
actor.
great. He's so
Oh,
great.
incredible. And Clouseau, I mean, he's a genius as well. I love the blackboard scene where he talks about facts and he's going through things and the intuition, how intuition is so important. It's really something,
He emphasizes facts, but then he overrides it by saying intuition is more important.
yeah, feelings. Yeah,
This is
exactly.
here's the Lovebirds. This is the Lovebirds. This is Maria Gambrelli and Jacques Cousteau. Jacques Clouseau. I wonder if there's wordplay on that. This is Blake Edwards, who is married to Julie Andrews for Sound of Music. This is the CIA military intelligence spook who's partnered with Blake Edwards. This is a guy in charge of propaganda in Beirut, Lebanon, to create favorable feelings about the United States of America, a favorable image of the United States, trained by the United States Air Force Psychological Warfare Department. He went to Georgetown University for 4 years, and then he got a master's degree from George Washington University, and then he is assigned to Hollywood to work with Blake Edwards in A Shot in the Dark, which involves Maria Gambrelli and being vindicated after being scapegoated for the murder of the passionate Spaniard Miguel Ostis. And off we go to Paris with our wine and cheese and our fruit bowl, right? This is where it all goes down, where the obelisk is. This is the obelisk. This is the obelisk. This is the obelisk.
Hmm.
There's another scapegoat. Does she look like Maria Gambrelli? You know who this is, right? This is Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos. She went to Stanford. She didn't graduate, but she went to Stanford. Where Victor Davis Hanson has a free house, where Henry Kissinger had a free house, where George Shultz had a free house. This is the Maria Gambrelli of Stanford University. This is Elizabeth Holmes. She was supervised by Henry Kissinger. She was supervised by George Shultz, who were paid $750,000 a year to babysit her. Well, in the case of Henry Kissinger, he got 750 grand a year. George Shultz received 250,000 a year to sit on her board of directors. And she went to prison and they didn't. And neither one, George Shultz, Secretary of State for Ronald Reagan, president of Bechtel Construction Company, he never testified in Elizabeth's trial. Neither did Henry Kissinger. But there's a lot of parallels here because of the fact that the Boulogne residents of Dominique and Benjamin Boulogne outside of Paris, outside of this obelisk, they were treated with kid gloves by the police. They were not taken down to the police station and given lie detector tests. They were not. They were not. They were treated in the way that all the United Nations and World Economic Forum countries are treated, which is that they have special status and that they will not see the full effect of an investigation. And that's, I think, part of the message here is that when you live in a chateau in the countryside outside of Paris, France, that you are in rarefied air and that almost anything goes out there. You can do whatever you want. And if you have dead people on your property, um, you can call it in, but just say that you're unavailable to come down because you have, board meetings that you need to attend, not to mention you need to fly off to Davos to go to the World Economic Forum conference.
Mhm.
That's what I see here, in retrospect. I didn't see any of that when I first saw the film A Shot in the Dark. I didn't understand anything about that there's two levels of homicide investigation, like one for
Right.
the ordinary people and then one for the plutocratocracy or the technocrats. People like Jim Breyer, whose wife Angela Chow drowned in an irrigation pond, and he was never brought in for questioning, and he would never had to give a lie detector test. Or J.J. Cardwell and Dean Jacobson, who took Jim Breyer's job at Excel KKR in the murder of Aaron Valente. Neither one were brought down to the police station and given polygraph tests. That's the first thing I would have done. J.J. Cardwell and Dean Jacobson of Harvard University and Stanford, and J.J. Cardwell of Stanford and Harvard Universities. They both went to the same schools. I would have called both of them in for lie detector tests. I would have done the same thing with Henry Kissinger, and I would do the same thing with George Shultz. And yet that's not done for them.
Mhm.
I mean, they even did that with Carol Wayne's date in the murder of Diane Linklater. He received 2 lie detector tests with the bizarre death of a 20-year-old baking cookies on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. And he's sitting at her kitchen table, and he flunked 2 lie detector tests and was not charged with her murder. So there must be 2 sets of rules, because most people would be charged within 72 hours. So
Yeah.
go
Sorry.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, Rose.
I was going to say with Dreyfus, Inspector, I guess he's called. The other theme that I
He's Commissioner Dreyfus.
Commissioner, okay. The other theme that I see there is he was responsible for what, 9 deaths, 9 or 10 deaths,
10.
10 deaths, trying to get to Inspector Clouseau. And I know he had a mental problem and he was finally commissioned or whatever, but he had that much of an influence on these people, his passion or his objective to destroy Clouseau at any cost. I mean, and we see
Well, the
that happen.
people that I think he was trying to protect the Ballons, but he ended up murdering both of them, because Dominique, who's cheating on her husband, they're both in the car with her husband driving, and they're both killed by Commissioner Dreyfus. So it's like he wants to get rid of Clouseau because he's afraid Clouseau is going to inconvenience the Ballons. But he's so driven to eliminate Clouseau that he
Yeah,
kills the very people he's trying to protect, which is
yeah,
Dominique and Benjamin Ballon, are murdered by Commissioner Dreyfus himself.
yeah.
And
How is
remember,
that
and
ironic?
remember, Dreyfus cuts off his thumb at one point,
I
Yes.
know.
He
I know.
tells
and
he
then
tells
he's oh
what's his assistant, could you call a doctor? Why? He goes, I've just cut off my thumb. And he
and
also
then
takes the
later
letter cutter and he
and he
stabs
stabs.
himself
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the letter cutter. Like whenever he gets updates from his assistant, he accidentally cuts his thumb off or stabs himself with a letter opener.
Well, because
Unstable.
in the opening scene though, he seems pretty happy. He's talking
Well,
to
he's
his.
going away to see his lover with the
Yeah, and he's cool. Everything's fine. It's only as soon as Clouseau comes on the case, he starts to unravel. So
oh, absolutely.
yeah,
All
It's
right, well,
a-
that's it. That's all there is to it. It was like, is there any? Did we miss anything? Is there anything more to it? I mean, it's a brilliant movie. I'll post the clips below. There's at least I have 5 clips. I think everyone can get a snippet. If you can see the whole 100-minute film, I recommend it. It's a whodunit. In this case, who didn't do it? Because almost everybody did something, some aspect of it. It is 100 minutes. It's a comedy and a whodunit. It definitely fits into the juxtaposition channel because it's confusing, and that's what we deal with here on the channel. The Star Chamber deals with definitely murders that are not routine, and that there isn't really a simple narrative that you can put up that's going to be remotely correct with any of the stuff that appears on this channel. And that also goes with the Blake Edwards produced and directed and screenwritten Blake Edwards, A Shot in the Dark. There isn't a simple narrative that best describes this film. Any final words, Jennifer?
I think number one, I think it's intended to be confusing. I don't think Blake Edwards expected the audience to understand it all. I think confusion was part of the theme, to tell you the truth. And also, when I think of the Peter Sellers character, I think of that the saying by the Art of War about appear strong when you're weak and appear weak when you're strong, because he comes across as weak, but he's really very strong. He's very smart and he's tenacious. It's a wonderful film, and it's just
Yeah.
what the doctor ordered. I mean, it was a great comic relief. I really appreciated it.
What are
Yeah.
your final thoughts, Rose, on this film?
I love the character of Clouseau and his tenacity, and he's like an underdog, kind of like a buffoon, but he is really super intelligent, and
Yeah.
in spite of all that,
I
buffoonery.
mean, this is a really complicated case,
Yeah,
and he solves it.
yeah.
See, so that goes to my point of that I don't really care about your methods or how, you know, unusual they are, because if they work and you get results, I mean, that makes you a winner, makes you a winner in my book.
Mhm.
And you can follow the traditional official standard of care, standard of investigation, and never figure this case out.
Yeah.
So I would rather get the case correct. It's unfortunate that 14 people had to die. 10 of them who lived at the chateau died. I mean, it's basically a complete scorched earth policy of the people there. Every person who lived and slept overnight at that chateau got killed in this story, minus Maria Gambrelli. She was the only one that didn't get killed. And but then a bunch of innocent people at the dance club got killed just because Clouseau took Maria Gambrelli there on a date. What are you going to do, right? As Clouseau called it, it's an unfortunate, occurrence.
Mhm.
But he was undeterred. He continued to solve it, the crime, until it was solved. And yeah. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for coming, ladies, and we'll see you on the next Zoom meeting.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.